My name is Torsten Overgaard. I'm a Danish photographer. I travel the world taking photographs and teaching photography. Today I will review, it's a little bit late, but better late than never, I'll review the 1964 Leica Flex film camera. This is a piece of beauty. This is the first SLR camera that Leica did. The short story was that Leica invented the 35mm, or also called full frame format, in 1925. They came out with the first Leica M then, and then have been going on with different models through the years. And 40s, the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, Leica basically sat on the market for photography. They set the tone. Nikon, Canon, and everybody else would make copies of whatever Leica did. And back then it was rangefinder cameras. Then what happened was that in the 50s, 60s, the Japanese invented SLR. So instead of looking through a viewfinder or besides the lens, they figured out, oh, we're going to do a mirror inside the camera so that you look through the viewfinder here, and there's a prism here that gives you the reflection down here, and then you see through a mirror out through the lens. So when I look for this one, I actually see what the lens sees, and that was a whole new concept. It's a little bit like electronic viewfinders today. They're like, wow, I can see the exposure and everything. This one, you can't see the exposure, but you can see the exact frame, and you can see the focus, you can see the depth of field, you can see everything that the lens sees. With rangefinder before that, everything would always be sharp and look great. You couldn't tell the focus exactly, you couldn't tell how the background's going to look, you couldn't tell how the final picture's going to be. So this is like, you could say, early, what you see is what you get concept in cameras. And the SLR simply took the world with storm, especially press photographers want to see what they're doing and have certainty that they get the photo, because they need a photo they can put in the newspaper. That's what they get paid for. So anything that gives that certainty is something that you can sell to a press photographer, and that's what happened, that the newspapers would start buying Japanese SLR cameras, and Leica would be like, hey, what's happening? And finally in 64, Leica said, okay, we're going to do an SLR camera also. I don't think they actually agreed that was a great idea, but they did it anyway. So this is much more chunky and big than an M camera, a rangefinder camera, and it's much more complicated in many ways. But this was the answer to the Japanese SLR cameras. And this one is called a Leica Flex, and it's called a Leica Flex SL. And that's a little bit confusing because Leica came out in 2015, they came out with a Leica SL, which is a digital camera. First SL in 2015 was 24 megapixel. The new one in 2020 is 47 megapixel. It's a whole new camera system, new lenses, new everything. But you can actually fit these lenses and other Leica lenses and Nikon and Canon and everything on the Leica SL in 2015 and 2020. The 1964 version is slightly different. This is a camera I used a lot. And one of the things I really like with this one is it has the most sexy shutter sound in the world, and I'll let you just hear it here. This is how it sounds, and it's amazing. And we open up and you see what is happening inside the camera. Then you have the mirror here, and then you press the shutter, the mirror goes up for 125th of a second. And at the same time, which you can't see from that angle, but I'll also show here where the film is supposed to be. That's where the film is supposed to be. And now, if I take the picture again, you can see me for a brief second. If I go on bulb here, then the shutter curtain is going to stay up. And this is a cloth curtain. And then I'm going to take the picture now, and you can see now there's hole through all the way. Whatever comes in through the lens goes straight into the film that would be in here. So that's the concept of this. I use this a lot. It's built like a tank. It's the Leica camera, Leica SLR camera that feels most like an M. This actually does feel like an M camera, except it's a reflex camera. It's a very unique feeling. They're round. You can buy them. You can put in a film. I haven't put in film for a long time. I shot a lot of digital, but I still have these two that have traveled the world with me. And this one is the Leica Flex SL, and it simply just says SL here on the top. Then I have one more here that's a SL Mod, and Mod simply means that it has a button plate, so you can mount a motor. I never did that. The motor is makes the camera more than twice the height. It's heavy and it's not super fast, but it was just part of what people like to do in the 60s and 70s. They wanted to have speed. So this one has only made 862 of this model for the mod. So it's kind of funny to have. And these ones, I mean, they are built like a tank. This one I dropped like this, and it has a bang here. It doesn't change a thing. It still takes great pictures. So I've done a lot of photographs with these ones. So what should I review? Well, there's two things I want to say. One is that if you want a film camera, then this is a really interesting one to get. It's an old camera. So one thing I recommend people when they buy an old camera is find the manual and download it to your iPhone or your iPad or your computer, so you always have it, because even if it's not very advanced, then it has different buttons. Here's, for example, the buttons for flash, so you can put on cables to control flash. Here's like a button you press so you can see the depth of field. So when you look through the viewfinder, the aperture is wide open, because else there wouldn't be light coming in through enough so you can see it. And then if you want to see how deep is my depth of field, you press this one, and then it gets darker, but you see, because the aperture is close to what's actually going to be during the exposure. And then you have up here, you can see how many frames you have taken, and you can see over here you have the shutter speed and the ISO. Well, this is actually the shutter speed sitting over here, but here you have the ISO, and you can over and underexpose by changing this one. So you put in, for example, I have here 400 ISO film, then I would set it to 400 ISO, because then the light meter in the camera would calculate based on 400 ISO. If I want to over or underexposure, I just change it. I basically just fake it. I tell the camera that this is a 200 ISO, then with overexposure with one stop. Very old school, very easy to figure out, and there's not much to say about it. Then you have one little detail is here, there's a battery in this camera, and that's what makes the light meter works. And there's also a button here on the side, so if it's dark you can actually press this one and there'll be light inside the viewfinder so you can read the numbers. But these batteries, you can't really get them anymore. So what I do in these ones is I took out the batteries, so I don't have any old batteries in here, corrosion or anything, and I don't need a battery. I'll just use an external light meter to measure the light, and that makes the camera even more simple. One thing with this is that this is a Leica. When you look through the viewfinder, it is huge. I mean, when I wear glasses I can't actually see the edges, but you're really close to the action, and it's so bright and so beautiful, so almost you just want to spend all day just look through this viewfinder. It is really an amazing piece of optics. So what are you going to do with this camera? Well, it gives you access to all the R lenses that are being sold secondhand these days. You cannot put all lenses on. There's the thing called the 1-cam, 2-cam and 3-cam system. I'm not going to go into it here, but it's just an advancement in technology for some tabs that sits in here. So some of the R lenses fits on brand new, or they're not that brand new because the last R camera was made in 2004 or 2003, but some of the lenses fit for all models from 64 to 2003. Some only fit for the modern one, and this is, for example, this one is the Zoom 35-70mm 4.0. This is a great lens. A lot of people get it for video. It's good to put on like a SL, the modern digital one with an adapter, or you can convert it to Nikon, or you can even put it a PL mount, so you can put it on a big movie camera. It's an amazing lens. It's a Leica lens. It's not super expensive. It's not very rare. It was like came as a kit lens with the R8 and some of the other cameras in the past. But this one have a cam in here that communicates with a modern or more modern Leica cameras that wasn't invented at this time, and the cam is different. So this one you actually cannot fit on this one. It just doesn't want to go on. So that's one lens you can use with it, but there's a lot of other lenses you can. I got this 250 lens 4.0 recently, and this one should fit on it, and it does. And then you have suddenly you have a 250mm lens on this camera, and that makes the world look different. One of the things I really like with cameras like this, except that I'm not big on film because it's so much easier to digital, but the principle I like in this is that you take a walk with this camera and there's no beeping, there's no nothing. This puts you totally in control, that you are the one deciding when you want to take photographs. And that's really amazing because we have so many things today, phones and everything, you just heard mine, that beeps and tell you to do things, or somebody want to tell you something or share something. This camera doesn't do anything. And it kind of illustrates one of the things that you could say is almost the secret of photography, is that you make the photographs. And you could say in life, no matter how you feel, or if you feel not that great today, you go out, you walk with your camera, and one thing you will realize is the light comes from within. You are the one that creates your own emotions. You create your own photographs. It's not something you can download or look and find somewhere or read about. It's like you create the things here. And I like this. I mean, I'll give you a little bit of education, because if you notice today, the way it works is if you go on Instagram and you stop by a photograph, then that actually gets registered. So that means next time you go on Facebook, Instagram or YouTube or somewhere else, if you stop to look at Porsche, or even if you clicked on it and you like the picture of Porsche, now suddenly you get Porsche photos all the time. The same goes if you look at a girl in bikini, then you get bikini photos and so on. So that's been registered, and that's for advertising, and you could say that's about having a return of investment, that if I put $10,000 in advertisement on Facebook, I can actually direct to people who are interested in cameras or this type of content, or who wants to go travel or is looking for a flight ticket. You could say that's very usable. What it also means that this technology is also, and actually before it was used for commercial things, it's been used for news. And of course it gives a lot of possibilities to, you could say, let's just call it propaganda. It's like, how can you change the opinion of the youth? They think they're surfing and they're finding stuff on YouTube and they're finding stuff on the internet or Instagram, but actually they're being guided. And that's not the youth, it's everybody. So in that context, having a camera that doesn't do anything and that is so manual, that you have to decide when you want to use it, what you want to point it at, how you're going to focus it, and when you want to take the picture, and how many pictures you will take. That's a great relief. And you could say my slogan is always wear a camera. And one of the things I like to do is that whenever I have a chance, I'll just take a walk, and it could be 3 minutes, 5 minutes, it can be 5 hours. I'll just go out with my camera, and I always have my camera with me no matter what I do. And implied in that is that no, at any time where I feel like inspired to take photographs, I'm actually gonna just let the world be and go take photographs. And I like to also just leave my phone at home, if I don't have anybody can disturb me or can get in contact with me. And I don't suddenly stop to Google and buy more lenses. I'll have to wait till I get home and just concentrate, look at the world, and decide I'm going to take a picture of this thing. So that's basically all there is to say about this Leica Flex. It's a very unique camera. It's not super rare. It's something you can get hold of. You can get them in silver and black, and there's some green Safari editions and a few other ones. There's lots of interesting lenses. I mean, you are competing today with the R lenses, are sought after by film crews. So some of them will go really high in price, but a lot of them is available. So you can't really look at the price and see how great is this lens. It can just be that it's rare. Some of the lenses that the film crew really love is the 50 1.4. That is a great lens. The 52.0 is actually just as good and not expensive. Film crews also like the wider ones. The 280 2.8 was used for the Batman movie, so that one goes up in price now because now everybody wants to use it for something movie-like. That's just how it is. There's still lots of this equipment around, and there's also people who have, if you're lucky, I would go look on like a user forum or eBay and anywhere else and see if anybody is selling like an SL kit with lenses. That would be amazing, and usually that's the best deal. So if you want to get into film and you want to get in old school and you want to have this amazing sound here, then the Leica SL is the thing. There's not much more to review. I'm not going to make any comparison of image quality or megapixel or anything. It just didn't exist back then, and it still doesn't exist with these things, and that's one of the beauties. That's all I had to say today. Thank you for watching. Until I see you next time, remember, always wear a camera.